Yeah, boy. It's September 23rd, and it's episode 122, and this is the Fantasy Football Auctioneer podcast. Fantasy Football Auctioneer is the official podcast of fantasyfootballauction.com, the internet's only website dedicated to fantasy football auctions and podcasts. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fantasy football auctioneer, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at fantasy auction. Or you can join us in the All Auction Twitter community at FF Auction Advice and connect with auction players from all over the Twitter sphere. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to get ready to roll for all week 3. We'll talk a little news, waiver wire ads, and lineup questions. But of course, our experts, they're always here. He's already got to be sick of being at the rink. Blister, power skating is bullshit, isn't it?
Sure is. It just seems like we've done 5 days of it now, and it seems like it's been the same drill for 5 days. But they're getting exercise, but I'd like to see a little more one-on-one where they teach them actually how to stride a little longer and hold them to it. But oh well, it's getting done, coming up, and we got like 3 nights, 6 hours of hockey a week right now. So it's a lot. Seems like a lot.
Just wait till the AA starts.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Times 2. Hours times 2.
Oh. It'll be busy. It'll be, just might as well move in down there.
Good thing you got no tough cuts to make.
No, that's right. We could have cut them all. Maybe that would have been a smart move.
Yeah, don't tell the kids that, though,
man. Yeah.
All right. You ready then?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm ready. I'll just Beckett. Sorry, guys. Just Beck ain't here, so I'm going to be hosting and co-hosting with Blister. So just to pay homage to Beckett, we'll throw his catch line in there. Let's cock the hammer. It's time for action. Who put that question mark on the teleprompter? Damn it! I'll read anything off of there. All right, we'll go to the first segment. We call this "We Just Got a Letter." So we got a few questions from Twitter. We'll touch on really quick here. Put Blister on the spot a little bit. First one comes from @Niels1040. He asks, "Should I trade Le'Veon Bell for Peyton Manning and Matt Forte? My quarterback now is Sam Bradford." What do you think, big fella?
I don't think so. I mean, Lev Bell could be the number 1 fantasy player from here on in for the rest of the season. And, Bradford, he hasn't put up the numbers we expected him to right now. But imagine if possible, I mean, if he gets benched and Sanchez starts, we saw Sanchez work in this offense last year. You could pick him up off the waiver wire, and then you'd have a producing quarterback that could produce. But I just think unless it's a 16-team league or a 12 or 14 with 2 quarterbacks, there's probably good options on the waiver wire. You got the number 1 potential player in fantasies from here on out with Le'Veon Bell. You don't want to give him up. Peyton tends to fade down a stretch, and he hasn't looked over, he was looking pretty bad in the last game. They come back and won. I think he was in shock that they won it. So I would hold tight with Lev Bell. And if you want to shop around on the waiver wire for a quarterback, or maybe pick up Sanchez before it's, in case Bradford gets benched after this week, then you'll be all set. What do you think?
I completely agree. I look at this trade. If it's a 12-team league, like you said, in essence, it's really Le'Veon Bell for Forte. And I'm taking Le'Veon all day. So, like you said, I mean, it's nice to have Peyton, but he's not doing that much more than guys like Joe Flacco can with the right matchup. I doubt Carson Palmer's still out there, but, there's guys on waivers. Tyrod Taylor is going to score as many or more points than Peyton, given the right matchup. So I'm streaming and I'm holding on to, like you said, someone who could finish as maybe the top fantasy running back, especially in PPR leagues.
Absolutely.
All right, next one here from @DialedIn247. This one's a little bit more of a thinker, so get your thinking cap out. Rank these FAs with percent fab free agent auction budget to spend. So we got 4 options, all wideouts: Anquan Boldin, Torrey Smith, Aaron Dobson, and Travis Benjamin.
Well, I would rank them kind of in the order you said. I'd put 10% on Boldin. He's not producing he hasn't produced as much as Torrey Smith yet, but I think if you look at all those names, Aaron Dobson, he had one good game. You know, we've had expectations of him for quite a while, but Brandon LaFell will be back eventually. They move the ball around quite a bit there. Edelman and Gronk are going to be your biggest producers. Dobson's going to be so hit and miss. And a guy like Travis Benjamin, you know, some people are going all out and getting him. Travis Benjamin's had only 7 targets in 2 games, and he's turned those 6 catches into 204 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's not going to hold up. If he had those same stats, but he had 20 targets and even 11 or 12 catches, then I would be kind of more excited about him. But he's not getting a lot of targets. You can't keep producing at that rate with such few targets. So some guys are going to be all gaga and spend a lot of money on him on their free agent budget, and there's a good chance that we might have just seen the best 2 weeks of Travis Benjamin's career, and from here on in he could fade into the sunset. So I don't buy into that hype. I like Bolden. He'll be there at the end. Torrey Smith is more of a deep threat. Bolden is going to be a guy that moves the chains. If you're in a PPR league, I like him the best. I have more faith in him being the guy that's going to outscore the rest of these guys over the course of the season. Currently, right now, Torrey Smith is ranked 23rd. This is in standard too, I believe. I got to change it over. And Bolden was 36, but Bolden has more targets than Torrey Smith so far. I just think that in the long run, he's going to be your guy. See if I change it over to Torrey Smith is 30th, and Anquan Bolden's 32nd when you go to PPR. So Bolden has 10 catches to Torrey's 7. He's outscored him by 40 yards only. So I would stick with Bolden. What do you think there? A couple of your boys in San Fran.
Yeah. No, I think Bolden's the safest bet out of all of them for sure. To me, Torrey Smith is kind of the one-trick pony. We know that, deep threat. And he's kind of playing off a one game sample size, or one big game. I mean, they've only played 2 games, so that skews things. And we know he's good at the deep ball, but Kaepernick isn't really great at throwing it as far as accuracy wise. I mean, he's got a cannon, but it doesn't do you any good if you can't put it in the bucket. So I like Bolden the most. I think a lot of these questions depend on too if your league has trading. I feel like if your league trades, it's in your best interest to try and really stockpile talent off the waivers. And I personally, if it doesn't have trading, I'm more looking at my team-specific needs. Some guys, they want to make these trades, and I guess, if you're trying to increase value, it's kind of why I don't like necessarily trading and redraft. It's such a short season. It does, to me, you don't often get really good trade value for yourself unless you get really lucky and hit on a player that's really undervalued or something like that. But in dynasty leagues, you have long periods of time to let somebody develop into something and sit on them and wait. But I mean, Bolden, I agree. I think he I'm surprised he's on waivers, quite honestly. So I don't know if this is a 10-team league or something like that. But yeah, I think you get close to 10%, 8% for sure. Torrey Smith is maybe around 5, and then to me, Travis Benjamin is a 1. Like you said, he's just a big boot. Like he's got a couple of deep bombs for touchdowns that are skewing his numbers, and to me, they're just not sustainable, like you said. So, let's move on then. Get into some tight ends here, because this one's
absolutely
thinker, because she's a long list here. So D.I. Myers 10 asks, what's the worry level on Martellus Bennett? Would you drop him for, so listen up because this is where it gets a little crazy, Rudolph, Ebron, Gilmore, Reed, Heath Miller, Wayne Allen, Kobe Fleener, or Charles Clay? So first, break this into 2 parts. Blister, what's your worry level on Martellus Bennett?
I'm not worried. I mean, right now he's ranked 11th in running or tight end, and realistically, between the 15th ranked tight end and the 7th ranked tight end, you're looking at maybe 1 or 2 points per game. So that's not a lot. He's got some things going for them. The receiving core there has been banged up. Alshon might not even play again this week. They got a hell of a tough matchup, so they might have to look to dump it off to him because their receivers are going to get bottled up. They're pretty good in Seattle, and I expect that one to be a bit of a blowout, but they could then relax, and he could then be the beneficiary of a couple garbage time drives where he all of a sudden racks up 10, 12 fantasy points, which at the end of the day, who cares how you get them? They're still fantasy points. But I'm not worried about him. I mean, 11th ranked. He's only played 2 games. He's right there. He's right ahead of Kyle Rudolph. He's one ranking behind Heath Miller. Like the guys on that list, I guess the guy that's highest ranked on that list is Jordan Reed, and he's looking pretty good right now. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent receivers there in Washington. They have Jackson hurt right now, so I think he should have another good game this week, although it's a Thursday nighter. That always sucks sometimes, but he'll be good until he gets hurt. Like, he's notorious for being banged up and hurt. So you could say the same for Rudolph. I kind of thought Rudolph's numbers would have been a little higher at this point already. I thought they would have utilized him. Maybe he would have found the end zone a couple times already, and that would have vaulted him up the standings. I think one more touchdown, and Rudolph would have been all the way up to about 6th probably or so. So maybe even 5th. So I think keep an eye on those guys, but I'm not worried about Bennett at all. There are some great options you have on the waiver wire. You might want to play the waiver wire a little bit more, but also Bennett, right now he could be the beneficiary of a few more targets because he's got a pretty banged up receiving core.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of options out there. Pick one of them up and stream if you're worried about that. I mean, are you worried about Jimmy Graham right now? No, probably not, because he's good, and that's how Martellus Bennett is. We knew he was going to be, somewhere in, I think most of us probably had him in the top 6 somewhere, whether it was probably in the 4, maybe even 5 to 6 range, 5, 6, 7, something like that. So he's not that far below that, like he pointed out, and stream his lock. Like you said, grab Jordan Reed and start him 1 week. But no, I don't think you got to be worried yet. I mean, like you said, there's lots of potential for garbage time, and just ask Jordan Matthews owners about that.
For sure. So. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's move on to segment number 2. We call this the Fantasy Football News Buy or Sell. So we're going to take a look at some of the latest fantasy football headlines, and our experts are going to buy or sell the implications of that headline. So we'll start in the Bayou. So Drew Brees. We know that his right shoulder is a little bit banged up. He did take limited practice reps today, Wednesday. But we know that he's got his rotator cuffs hurting. But he says he's pretty confident to be able to play in Week 3 against the Panthers, which isn't necessarily a great spot for him. So buy or sell. Drew Brees should be in consideration as a QB1 this week.
I'll sell that. I'm a little worried about this New Orleans offense. Without Drew Brees, I'm just downright scared of it. I'm a Brandon Cooks owner in many leagues, and he's been decent, but he hasn't got the end zone, and he hasn't put up any double-digit fantasy numbers yet, and it's been hurting me. My teams have been struggling because of that. I don't know what's going to happen there this week. I mean, they're going to Carolina. Carolina's a tough team at home, divisional opponent. I really think the Saints are going to be in tough. 0-2. They're going into a place where it's going to be pretty hard to pick up their first win of the year. I think Drew Brees he's 19th ranked quarterback as it is right now. So I don't see him changing that this week.
Right on. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Eagles running back DeMarco Murray tweaked his hamstring today. It's what we've all been waiting for, right? The injury-prone Murray is now injured. So he's got MRI scheduled. It doesn't sound like it is that pressing, or that he's does still have a decent shot of playing Week 3. I guess we'll find out more once this MRI comes out. But buy or sell, if Murray sits, Ryan Matthews is a better start than Darren Sproles this week.
I'm going to buy that. I think that Matthews hasn't had a lot of touches yet. I mean, Darren Sproles is a slightly different role. He's an explosive guy, and I think that they could both be good plays. It could be more of a timeshare, so much more so this week than it has in the past. But Murray's been a disappointment so far, and I have him in one league. I think the Fishbowl, I dropped him in the 3rd round. So I thought at the time it was good value, but man, he's been a real letdown, and as is my 0-2 record in the Fishbowl to go with that. So, you know what? I just was playing around with some daily lineups and looking for a cheap flex option, and I kind of penciled Matthews in there for now, but I'm still him and Han. I got to wait to see what happens. I hope it's an opportunity for him. It's scary to think that you're going to rely on Ryan Matthews to win. When you're in a daily league and you're thinking about winning some big coin or something, it's really not the guy I want to put my hopes into.
Wow, we've all been playing Philadelphia Eagles and DFS. Probably the first
Thanks a lot, yeah.
So why not just keep it going? Ryan Matthews.
There you go. Crush our dreams, Ryan.
Yep, you can take Jordan Matthews' spot as DFS dream crusher.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next one, and this one hits near and dear to my heart a little bit, especially because it's going to affect our matchup potentially in our dynasty league.
I need about 6
what
more.
What the hell is this news? Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins has a concussion, and what the hell? Where did that come from? It comes as a surprise to many. I don't think anyone really knew he had it. He's in his way through the league's concussion protocol, trying to get back for Sunday. The scary thing is they're not going to know until Saturday what necessarily is going on. So buy or sell. Nate Washington is a startable wide receiver this week if Hopkins can't play.
I think so, and I think I'd buy on some Cecil Shorts as well. The boys have both put up decent numbers this year, and without DeAndre there, they're going to get a lot of targets. And I think it's a game that they should be able to put some points up in with the Tampa Bay coming to town. Nate Washington's already had 19 targets, 9 catches for 168 yards. So, you know what? Someone's got to get that. DeAndre's had 24 targets, so they got some probably on average 12 targets to divvy up. And Cecil's had 20 targets and 10 catches for 91 yards. So, you know, not bad stats. But without him there, if they each get a few more catches, you know, they could be looking at 8 to 9 catches each. When a PPR league, that's pretty exciting. If one of them finds the end zone, that's great. So I gotta hope for more of this news, because your dynasty team is about as good as it gets. And I've been fortunate to, I mean, that's one of the leagues I'm 2-0 in, and I'm probably most disgusted with that team out of any. And other leagues where I thought I have just a dynamo, I'm 0-2 in. So that's crazy. Yeah. Crazy fantasy football.
That is. But just think, if Hopkins isn't on the field this Sunday,
great.
And then you look at the names of the players that will be starting on this offense. No Foster, no. Isn't it just like enough to make you want to throw up a little bit? Like,
yeah. I think I'm gonna.
Gross.
It's not
starting
pretty.
Wide receivers are gonna be Cecil Shorts and Nate Washington, and mixing a little bit of Alfred Blue and.
Yeah, he didn't even. Chris Polk. I think Chris Polk had more snaps than Alfred Blue last week too. So Alfie Blue he hasn't done the job there, and Jonathan Grimes got tweaked his knee, I believe, so he probably won't be 100% if he plays either. So yeah,
it's like the toy shop or whatever up in that Rudolph Claymation Christmas special with all the cast-offs. Just all these misfits playing together, floating around on a piece of ice.
Yeah,
looking at narwhals in the Arctic.
It's a sad. I can see the picture pretty clearly. It's just it's a sad picture to paint for an NFL franchise. I mean,
I know.
It's not much better over in Carolina, except they got Cam, so he's one name that's kind of recognizable. And Greg Olsen has been a bit of a ghost, but after that, it's pretty sad there too. Well, I guess Jay Stu is, for a 75-year-old running back, you do recognize the name though.
So. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Well, speaking of bleak, there's some frustrated in Seattle going on. So Jimmy's unhappy.
Yeah.
Jimmy wants the ball more. Jimmy wants to be a bigger part of the offense. So, none of you guys caught the Seinfeld reference. I'm talking about Jimmy Graham. Even Pete Carroll said he's a little bit disappointed. They'd like to make him a bigger part of this offense. He's caught 6 passes, 51 yards and a TD in week 1. He didn't do much in week 2, and this is what prompted him to start complaining a little bit. So buy or sell. This is more or less what we should keep expecting from Jimmy for the rest of the year.
I buy that. I mean, I think he should be in line for a pretty good week. I think they're going to just smash the Bears this week, unfortunately for Bears fans. But I just think that we're going to see a little better offense here. And I think Jimmy will get a part of it because he's sad and they paid him a lot of money and whatever. But I think you're right. I think it's going to be hit and miss with him this year. They're going to deviate from the game plan. They're going to switch it up. Marshawn Lynch, I think, should be another guy that hasn't really had a big game. I think that's coming this week as well. So, yeah, I buy that. Going to see that Jimmy come and go. Jimmy come lately all year long.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, I really thought they would do a better job of getting him involved in the game plan. and maybe they're trying, and teams are just taking away. It doesn't really look like that much, but I mean, the offense as a whole has kind of been subpar, I would think, by their standards. I mean, even going back to the first week when they went for it on fourth down there in overtime, and Lynch was tiptoeing behind the line of scrimmage to pick up a couple of yards and gets hit in the backfield. Like, that just doesn't seem like Seattle offense to me. So I don't know. I mean, the good teams usually do turn it around, and maybe we can chalk it up a little bit to just kind of learning how to play with the new toy that you just got. But it's definitely a little bit alarming. I mean, from what you spent on Jimmy Graham, you were I'm sure definitely expecting more than that.
There's 15 tight ends ahead of Jimmy Graham in the rankings right now. So it's early, 2 weeks in. He'll probably have a big game this week and vault all the way up to the top 5 or something, but it wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, though, like if you're sorry, if I was going to say, unfortunately for him, though, if you're playing a lot of the daily sites and stuff, he still probably comes with a pretty hefty price tag. So it's kind of tough to pay big bucks for him when he hasn't produced
he's
yet.
in that pile, right? It's either you go Gronk or go cheap. I think
I think so.
Who Jimmy's playing, unfortunately for him. But
yeah, for sure.
So speaking of DFS, the Eagles' offense is a steaming pile of feces and a /DFS killer. Chip Kelly was talking or trying to defend Sam Bradford's poor play through the first 2 games of the season. I don't see much going into that. Is it time to buy or sell Blister? Is it time to cut ties with guys like Nelson Agholor and Zach Ertz?
Yeah, I mean, I Nelson Agholor, rookie. I mean, I even had high hopes on Josh Huff this year, and I don't think that's going to be happening. You know what? Zach Ertz, I think he could stick around and be a more reliable guy. Where is he right now? He's 28th ranked. He's had 15 targets.
This is the man.
He only caught 6 of them, 6 of 15 targets. So that's not a very good rate, but you would expect more from him. I would maybe, you could cut him in a 12-team redraft and look to pick him up again later, but there's 27 guys ahead of him, so I don't think you're going to be hurting too bad. And Agholor, I don't think it's going to be his year this year, but it's disappointing in this offense. I mean, Chip's got to be hearing footsteps, I would think, at this point. He got rid of a bunch of quality veteran offensive linemen. He's got rid of a lot of quality players out of that organization. And people always question, is he a genius or is he mad? Well, I think we're finding out right now that maybe he made too many egotistical moves and it's kind of costing him. So the Eagles have got to turn it around, and they're not going to have a tough week. They're not going to have an easy time doing that this week with the tough Jets defense they're going to be going up against.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. They're not going to have their work cut out for them a little bit this week, for sure. Speaking of work cut out, in the clickbait news, Johnny Manziel isn't starting. I don't know. We were at work today, so I don't know if this was breaking across the bottom of ESPN all day. I know how they love Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. Yeah. But Browns are going to start Josh McCown. I almost said, wow.
McClown.
They're going to start McCown in week 3. Buy or sell? McCown lasts into the 4th quarter on Sunday.
I'll sell it or buy it. I'll sell it. I don't know if he will. I actually was kind of disappointed when I heard this. I thought Johnny Manziel has had a great matchup this week because I knew, even if he only does throw 15 passes and he completes a couple, and he can run for another 70 yards. And, the Raiders have not really held anybody back as far as quarterbacks so far. Flacco had a pile of points. Andy Dalton had a pile of points against them. And I just thought they're at home. Their defense can get them in some good field position, probably maybe make some easy plays. Johnny could have ran 1 or 2 in even. So I had him penciled into one of my DFS lineups here. And then I get home tonight, or on the way home on the radio, I hear that Josh McCown is starting this week. What the heck? That's screwed up everything. So just before I came on the air, I'm still trying to tweak and find out who I'm going to stick in and where I'm going to put somebody else in his place. So that's disappointing. I thought he might have a good week. I don't see the same for McCown. Like he might do okay, but I just thought that the difference between the two is Johnny's legs and Johnny running for some yards, maybe running a couple into the end zone versus McCown's going to be pretty much all arm.
40 or 50 yards, right?
Especially if McCown is coming off a concussion protocol, then I think he's going to be slinging it, not really running a whole lot and taking any hits. So I really don't like that for fantasy, especially for daily.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, that wraps up segment number 2. We'll move into number 3. We call this segment Live Wire. In this segment, we look at waiver wire claims you should be making this week and how many fab dollars you should be spending. So, Blister, give us a player that you think everyone should be targeting this week on waivers.
You know what? I should have probably went on here earlier and looked at some of the names, but we have a couple on here right now. I'm going to jump to James Starks. Eddie Lacy owners, if James Starks is out there, you better go pick him up. He's going to be starting against KC Chiefs, but he's at home. Chiefs are a good defense, but I think they can still be susceptible to some yardage by James Starks. They got to respect Aaron Rodgers and some of the weapons he has at receiver. So James Starks is a guy that if you're not a Lacy owner, I mean, anybody should be happy to go out and get him. And if you're playing some daily fantasy stuff, he's going to be really the low price tag on him, and he's going to be a guy that you should probably get in there. He's either your RB2 or potentially a flex because he's going to get the ball a lot. He's in a great offense. He'll have a chance to score.
Right on. Another guy, someone I like is Joe Flacco. And this is more of a preemptive kind of move. I think he's got a tough matchup in week 3. There's no doubt about it against Cincy. But after that, he gets Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and San Francisco. 3 defenses with suspect secondaries. And especially against Pittsburgh, there could be some points scored by Pittsburgh. So Flacco's going to have to keep pace a little bit with Big Ben. So I like those 3 matchups coming in week 4, 5, and 6. So if you can get them right now on the cheap, maybe 1 to 2% of your budget, depending on the league that you're in, I would definitely make a waiver claim for him. Especially if you're going the streaming route, or if you had somebody like Andy Dalton or something like that as your starting quarterback, or you had Tony Romo and now he's injured, or even you got Drew Brees and you're a little worried about him. So yeah, I'd throw in a claim for him for sure.
Tannehill too twisted his ankle or something, so he's kind of hurting. There's a lot of names out there actually that you got to kind of keep an eye on. That's for sure. Throw another one to you, Michael Crabtree. You know what? I looked at him earlier this week too because I thought, well, Oakland's going into Cleveland, and they're going to have Cleveland's pretty good defense, but Joe Hayden's going to be the one covering probably Cooper. So Crabtree's going to be the guy that might find himself more in single coverage. Like you said, 24 targets through 2 weeks. I mean, if they're already looking for him, he's already got that. So it's not like he's going to have to start looking for him. He's going to look for him, and he's going to look for him even a little bit more maybe this week. So on average, 12 targets a week, that could get bumped up into the 15, 18 range. And Crabtree's been putting up some decent numbers. So I think he might be another nice sneaky play, or a guy to pick up off the waiver wire or DFS stuff. Throw him in there because he could be a nice grab as well.
I'm going to stick with the quarterbacks, and I'm going to say Tyrod Taylor. I think some people got a little bit freaked out in week 1. They jumped out to an early lead, and they didn't really have to throw it a lot after, the first half. They could keep it in check. And then we saw last week what can happen when this team gets down. I mean, they got down big early, and they had to try and move the ball through the air. And he's young. He's going to make mistakes, but what I like about him is his legs give you a pretty high floor. So just with his scrambling, he's going to keep you. If he gets you 5, points just from his scrambling, right there, it's going to allow you to minimize or not feel the effects of some of these mistakes that he gets. And if he completes 2-3 touchdowns, you're laughing. And he gets Miami this week, which on paper looks like a tough matchup, but Miami's secondary is not very good. So he could maybe expose them a little bit, and then he gets the Giants in week 4. And we all know what that secondary is like. So, and even if you follow that up, he gets the Titans again in week 5. So if you want to look a little bit long-term, he's a guy you could probably get. I would think, again, if you want to spend anywhere from 1 to 2%, you could probably get him if in 12-man, 1 QB leagues.
For sure. I'm going to throw another one out to Damian Williams in Miami. He's going up against Buffalo. We just talked about that tough matchup. But Lamar Miller's banged up right now, too, and right now is questionable to play this weekend. So if he doesn't, Damian Williams would be the guy to start there. And obviously getting a starting running back in a what should be a decent offense. They should have a tough divisional matchup game here with Buffalo, but points will be scored, and he's a guy to keep an eye on. And there's not a real long list of running backs behind Lamar Miller, so he could be a guy that could not just produce free this week, but in the weeks to come. And Lamar hasn't really he's been underwhelming, I guess you could say, in a polite way so far. So keep an eye on him as well.
Speaking of underwhelming, one last guy I'm going to talk about anyway is Devontae Freeman. If he's still out there, I mean, I say underwhelming because I don't think he's that great, but he's going to get a huge uptick in in touches with Tevin Coleman being out. And then again, in week 4, I think they have Houston. Week 5, they've got Washington. So, I mean, Washington's been playing pretty good, so I don't know about that. But, I mean, Houston's, I think you can run on them, especially if they got Julio that's going to spread the field a little bit. So, hopefully open a few things up for him. But, yeah, I just like the opportunity that he's going to get, and I think that's going to get you points, and he can definitely be an RB2 while Tevin Coleman's on. In fact, I think I have him as an RB1 this week, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But, yeah, I think, you could look to spend something like, I don't know, 2%. It depends where you are. If I'm 0-2 and, maybe I'm trying to think of some running backs that I might have. Maybe I bought Arian Foster and I have DeMarco Murray and he's banged up now. I might spend anywhere up to 5% on Devontae Freeman, knowing that it's short-lived for him. Tevin Coleman was looking good until he got hurt. But if I need running back production, I'm going to spend in order to get it, and hopefully, squeak out a couple wins while my studs are coming back.
And another guy in running back, especially in a PPR league, Lance Dunbar. If he's not owned yet in your league, you might want to look at him. He got obviously Dez is banged up, and I think I would be surprised if he comes back. Romo's out now, so Whedon is a starter, and Witten's had 2 sprained ankles and a knee or something, but apparently he was back at practice today. But he's obviously not in great shape. So will he start? Will he play? Will he finish the game? Who knows? But they don't have a lot of options there, and Whedon will check down a lot and look to somebody like Dunbar, and Dunbar has a good matchup this week as well. So I think he could be in PPR looking at his best game of the year so far, and he hasn't been too bad. His first game was pretty solid, but I think a guy like Lance Dunbar could put you up some double-digit fantasy points this week, especially in a PPR league. Should be pretty good.
Yep. Okay, well that's it as far as our free agent waiver guys to pick up in the Livewire segment. So we're going to move on to the segment that is my favorite. I think it's a lot of listeners' favorites. Hopefully it helps them a little bit setting their lineups. You had a tough week too.
What the hell was I on when I picked some of these guys? I picked Chris Johnson. Was I stupid or whatever?
Yeah, I was
hit my head or something. I can't believe. I look back at this. I can't believe what I was thinking. No wonder I had such a shitty week in DFS last week with some of these stupid decisions. Although I didn't play these guys in DFS, but
you puffing gas in your office at work or what?
Oh, I don't know. Must have some kind of maybe the fireplace has a leak or something here. Maybe I don't know what's going on.
Get the carbon monoxide check then.
Maybe get better.
This is segment number 4. We call this is the man.
7.
So what we usually do is we do a quick little recap of what happened the week before and so you guys up to speed on.
So we went up and we went around twice more before we went down. I was a little bit sick.
What's going on?
Hey boys.
I don't know. What is that, Beckett?
Uncle Buckets is making a cameo appearance from a bar.
He's live on location
Live on location.
Yeah, they sound like it too. You sound like you're on B93.
No, I'm at the bar. Yeah. Anyways, I just saw the email, so I thought I'd pop in and say hi.
Oh.
Hey, Bucks. Are you wearing some kind of a glow costume?
Yes. I'm by a tree.
Are you at a rave?
We're outside. I don't know. Somewhere.
It's pretty dark there.
Yeah. Well, we're outside. Anyways, sorry.
Oh, there you are. There's your face.
Can you see me now?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, hi.
Is that a Christmas tree?
It's something. I don't know. We're on a patio.
Pocket protector?
What's that?
Is that a pocket protector?
Well, yeah. Hold on, let me fix my glass.
You are at a
You
tech
need
conference.
tape on those glasses.
You can see this. I can't edit it out, so I don't have my program with me. Okay, keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Take care.
Well, thanks for throwing us off our train of thought. Now, how do we even rebound from that?
I don't
Oh,
know.
I know. We'll recap week 2. How about that?
Oh,
You
I was
ready?
hoping we could.
Okay.
I think we missed that. Shoot.
So after week 1, I had just a slight lead, 5-4 over Blister. So week 2 went as follows. Plug your ears. I know you're gonna bounce back though. Blister took Marcus Mariota, who had 16 points. I took Cam Newton, who ended up with 28. Blister took Chris Johnson, who had 7.2. I took Isaiah Crowell, who had 13.2. I then took Dion Lewis, who had 23.8. And Blister took Lance Dunbar, who had 8.3. Next, we went to wide receivers, and we both took Brandon Coleman, and we were right. He beat out Nelson Aguilar, which isn't that hard to do. Then this maybe was the biggest beatdown. Blister went with James Jones, got 9.9. I rode the Allen Robinson train for one more week, and it paid off with a whopping 33.5. Then this is where Zach Ertz bit us. We both took Zach Ertz against Dallas, and he was outscored by Eric Ebron by about a 4-1 margin. Then we both went with Cole Beasley as a flex over Austin Safarian-Jenkins, which paid off slightly. Beasley had 5.4 to Safarian-Jenkins 4.9. And then at defense, we both took the Broncos D, which was a good call. They had 21 points as opposed to the Packers only getting 7 against Seattle. So on the week, Blister went 3 for 5, and I went 7 and 1. Brings the total after week 2 to 12-7 for the good guys, meaning me.
Yeah.
But we've seen this before. He clawed his way back last year, and I'm expecting a dogfight to the end. So
Thanks.
Here we go. Week 3, big bounce back, right?
I hope so. This is terrible. Terrible.
Whatever.
You know, I remember this. I do remember this the last year too. I remember thinking we studied football. We've talked about football basically all year round, but really got hardcore, you know, in June-ish and stuff. And then all of a sudden the season started, and I was like, what? I felt like I was looking at a different sport or something that I've never seen. But then it all evens out. You can't get too excited after a couple weeks. But this is not a good thing to spot you 5 like that right off the hop. That's not easy to come back.
Hey, man, my wife kicks my ass every week in our confidence pool, and she doesn't do anything.
That's not good either.
So all the reading I do and reading on Twitter and things, and I can't beat my wife. So
no, you better not.
Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that.
Don't do it.
Right. Anyway,
there goes our one listener.
Not in our week 3 players to pick from, which is a good thing.
All right.
So here you go, Blister. You'll go first. We'll start with the quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford versus Denver, or Tyrod Taylor at Miami.
You know what? I like that Tyrod Taylor. You were talking about him earlier too, and he'd be a nice little daily fantasy player. I think people are onto him pretty good now. But like you said, their defense hasn't been as good as it's supposed to be, and he's been putting up some pretty consistent points. Stafford's at home. You know, he's due to have a big game too, but I'm going to go with Taylor here today.
I agree. I kind of touched on it. Miami's secondary to me is by far their weakest area on defense, and I'll be honest, I'm done with Stafford. Plus, he's going up against a really tough secondary, in my opinion. But I'm done with Detroit. I've lost more money betting on Detroit and playing their guys in DFS and in confidence pools. I'm done. Matt Stafford can die.
You know who else really bugs me right now? Vinatieri. I was in a survivor pool there, and I needed one field goal from Adam Vinatieri on Monday night, and he got nothing. He hit the upright, the first miss in 7 years, and like that was rude. You know, and I was talking to another guy. Pardon?
You're out. You're out.
Yeah, I have one more team in it, but expected to have 2 right up until about the end, but now I got 1 chance. It's such a bummer. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one, and I apologize. This is going to be a little bit slower for me because I got to look at the players and then quickly flip to my rankings and see where I have everybody. But we're going to go to the running backs, and we've got Alfred Morris at the New York Giants or Matt Jones at the New York Giants. So I lead this one off, and to me, I'm going to go with Matt Jones. I just feel like he's got more potential for the big week. And I just think after last week, they have to get more involved in the game script. So I'm going to keep riding that hot hand and go with my boy Matt Jones.
I'm gonna agree with you, Slim, and I would love to see it in Washington and in Arizona. David Johnson, I'd like to see them just quit fooling around. These guys have got talent, and every time they touch the ball, they've been doing great things with it. Whether it's been in the special teams or just running the ball or catching a pass out of the backfield, they put up some big numbers. So, and I think they have I think they could be the number one quite handily, and then suddenly vault themselves into RB1, talk week in and week out. So I want to see him get the ball more, and I hope this is the week they do.
For sure. Okay, Blister, you're going to lead off. Sticking to running backs, we got Devontae Freeman at Dallas or Gio Bernard at Baltimore.
That's a tough one because I think Gio really lit it up last week, and Jeremy Hill found the doghouse for fumbling twice. They go into Baltimore, divisional game, should be a tough one, and I think he's in line. I don't know if I haven't read enough yet this week to know if he's going to start or if they're going to give Jeremy the ball back. But Devontae Freeman, he's coming in with Tevin Coleman being hurt. He hasn't been that impressive, but I'm going to go with Freeman this week. I just think that he's going to get the opportunities. I think that offense could be clicking a little bit better, and I think that they might have a little better matchup.
I agree. I like Gio probably more than most this week, I'll admit. But maybe I like Devontae Freeman more than most. I have Freeman as my number 12 running back. Again, like we talked about, because of opportunity and also because of who the opposing offense is going to be this week. I mean, to me, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Atlanta gets out to a lead because Julio Jones looks uncoverable right now. And I don't see Brandon Weeden necessarily being able to pull them back very quick, which means that Atlanta could run the ball a lot to try and salt this lead away a little bit. So that could lead to more touches. So I'm going to go with that opportunity cost right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, oh God, I got to start, and it's on a junk matchup. I got to dig real deep here now. Unless you're ready, you want to go.
On this one, I can go.
Sure. So we're going to start at the wide receivers. Blister, James Jones versus KC or Travis Benjamin versus Oakland?
Well, I'm going to go back to the well with James Jones here. He made me lose last week. I hope he recovers this week. He's been getting looked, in the red zone. He's been getting a lot of looks. So if they keep that up and he is able to snag one in the end zone, I think he'll be okay. Like I said earlier, Travis Benjamin, he hasn't had a lot of targets. So what he's done with those targets has been quite amazing, but you can't continue on at that pace. If you're only getting 2 or 3 looks a game, it's pretty hard to consistently put up double-digit fantasy points to the extent he has. So I don't think he can do it again this week, even though I think they could light up Oakland a bit. But I just don't think he can put up those points consistently.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with James Jones. I agree. I'm waiting for this Travis Benjamin stock to crash. And whatever it is, James Jones gets targeted in the red zone. It's unbelievable. He was targeted against Seattle. He should have had, I don't know, I think like 4 touchdowns now in the year. He got one called back.
Yeah.
Doesn't count. I mean, they target him. And I think they'll do the same against Kansas City. I really do. So all it takes for him to catch 1 touchdown, and he could very well outscore Benjamin. So I'm going to go with that. All right, sticking with wide receiver, I'll start this one. Michael Crabtree at Cleveland or Pierre Garçon at the New York Giants. I like both of these guys, quite frankly, this week. I'm going to go with Pierre Garçon, though. I feel like, until Djax gets back, and this is a pretty bad secondary, I think this could be a lot of targets coming his way this week. So I'm going to go with Pierre.
You know what? I'll go with Crabtree. The only reason I'm going to do that is because Pierre's playing on a Thursday night, and sometimes those games are kind of crap. So I'll go with Crabtree, hoping that he's going to be open a little bit more. But I like that. I think both these guys are nice plays this week.
Yeah.
And another guy, that's going to be not your most highest priced receiver out there. A big guy like Brandon Marshall's another one, because I think if Eric Decker misses time, then Marshall's going to see a heavy dose of targets this week as well. So 3 receivers right there that you might look for your tournament lineups there that could really go off, and they're going to be a little bit lower priced.
Right on. A little GPP play maybe. Okay, switching gears, we're going to go to tight end. Crockett Gilmore versus Cincy Blister or Ladarius Green at Minnesota.
Well, I just read something that Ladarius Green's banged up. I don't know what it is. It's got a little red star beside him there as well. So I'll go with Crockett Gilmore. Yeah.
Concussion.
So I'm not sure that he'll play yet, but I'll take Crockett Gilmore in this case.
Well, and me too. I mean, before the concussion, I'm picking Ladarius Green all day.
Yeah.
I have him as a top 12 tight end this week.
Yeah.
I don't know the severity necessarily of this yet. So I'm going to make the pick under the assumption that he's going to play. And we're going to asterisk it if you win and he doesn't play. We'll be at that game. So
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to take Ladarius Green. I think this could be there could be a few points scored by San Diego. I'll put it that way. Week, so.
I keep forgetting that we're going. And I talk to Zooms and stuff at school, and he keeps saying, I'm putting Melvin Gordon in this week. I'm putting Melvin Gordon in this week because I want to be there and watch him play. And if I'm there and watching him and he doesn't, and I don't have him in my lineup and he goes off, I'm going to be so mad sitting there watching him. So I want to be able to enjoy the game. So he's going in my lineup. But I keep thinking, it's already tomorrow's Thursday. We're leaving the next day. And I haven't even thought one bit about the trip because I've been just going around and chasing my tail. But I hopefully that's what I had. I had Ladarius Green actually in one of my daily lineups here. And then I was looking, I was looking at it the same price, Kyle Rudolph, and Rudolph had like one more target per game or something, and one more catch. So, and he's at home, so I think I might have switched it out, especially once I saw that concussion news. But I don't, like you said, he could still be playing because I don't think he had that label there a couple days ago when I made this lineup. So
I didn't notice it. To be honest, I only noticed it today, and I was surprised. But
me too.
So I'm hoping it's not that big a deal. But okay. So here we go. The dreaded flex questions. So we've got Rashard Matthews versus Buffalo, or Lance Dunbar versus Atlanta. So I lead this one off, which sucks because I'm not really sure who to pick in this spot, but I am going to go with Lance Dunbar. I've liked what he's shown this year. I mean, we talked about it last week with Dez going down. Somebody's got to catch a few passes. They targeted him. That was kind of nice. And a couple long passes even, which was kind of sweet. But even though that was when Romo was in there. To me, he could be used even a little bit more with Brandon Whedon because he could be a little bit of a check down option for a little bit of a shakier quarterback. So I like the PPR upside for sure with Lance Dunbar.
And I'm going to go with that too. That Rashard Matthews has had a pretty nice season so far. He's going to have a tough defense with Buffalo, but I was talked about Lance Dunbar earlier in the waiver wire, and I think he is a nice sneaky play this week as well.
Okay, finishing it off then, we go to the defenses, and we've got the Cleveland Browns versus Oakland, or the New York Jets versus Philly. Go.
I'm going to take some Cleveland Browns this week. I think.
Yep. Any reason for that, or going with the gut?
Yeah, they're at home, the dog pound. It could be nice and raucous. I don't know. Oakland is, they'll be okay. But if they shut down Amari Cooper, then, Latavius Murray could have a decent game on the ground. Cleveland hasn't really been that great on the ground. But I don't know. I kind of, that's how I was looking at it earlier. I'm going to stick with them.
All right, I'm going to go with the Jets. They've forced 10 turnovers this year.
That's true.
Sam Bradford is not necessarily the best quarterback at the moment.
Kind of wish you would have went first on that one now.
If I gave you that tidbit or reminded you of that tidbit, that would have
If
changed.
you would have reminded me, 5 turnovers the first 2 games each.
They might be able to get up in Bradford's kitchen a little bit. Muhammad Wilkerson's been a beast. Very disruptive. The interior of that Eagles line has been weak, so he could just be a car bomb in Bradford's lap all day, forcing him into some bad throws, and hopefully Revis and Cromartie can come by with a couple picks. And we all know, right, that's what DST is all about. It's who cares about the points as much as how many turnovers and big plays are you going to force. And the Jets are doing a good job of that right now.
Sure are.
So, with that being said, that's the end of the Beckett List pod. So,
you did
would
a
it be
cameo.
odd if I said anything you want to add?
Nothing. I guess we're looking forward to getting down to Minneapolis and having a couple of brewskis, and hopefully I don't put in too much time in Buffalo Wild Wings and get that evil snake eye. But anything's possible. And it should be a good road trip. Looks like great weather, sunny out, nice for an outdoor stadium. 26 and sunny, so that's
Fahrenheit,
sweet.
Anybody know what that is? Tweet me. I don't know.
82
Ooh,
ish,
okay.
maybe.
I'm gonna have to bring some SPF 50 and maybe go Simmons. Hopefully, I don't offend anybody.
I think that maybe we talk to the ladies about that instead.
It might offend my wife. That's about it.
Yeah.
I know she's excited. I'll say that she's getting pretty jacked to go.
Oh, right on.
I am too, I guess. I mean,
it'll be good.
It'll be
fun.
Good. I'm gonna bring the Gates jersey in case I decide to. Chargers. I think I will because I've got Keenan Allen. I'm gonna have Ladarius Green going. I'm gonna have Danny Woodhead going on a couple pools. So I figure, why not?
Yeah.
Win in Rome. And she said she's gonna hope for the Vikings, so this way I can talk shit to her the whole game. And hopefully they
it was fun. Like last year when we were there for the Pats, and obviously being a Pats fan, and they won. And it was fun. I had a great time. So it'll be a little bit of a tough ride home, but what the heck? Hard to come back, but oh well. It'll be a good trip. Looking forward to it.
Right on. Well, if that's that wraps it up.
That's efficient, baby. We're already done. It's 10 after 10. Bex, that's how it's done. Get her done. Get the meat and potatoes out there to the listeners. No frills, and that's all you need to know.
That's right. So, how does he normally end this? I'll see you at the school, I guess, tomorrow, and then we'll see you when it's springtime in the Rockies.